Amara, this money will do better in Ngozi's hands than in yours.
Mom, what did you just say?
You heard me. Ngozi is more responsible.
But that's not fair. It's for my school.
You heard me. Ngozi needs this money more than you do.
More than me, Mom. I worked every single day for that money.
She's your sister. Family comes first.
I thought I was family too.
You're still young. You'll earn it again.
Earn it again. Do you know how many mornings I woke up before sunrise? How many times I burned my hands roasting corn? Every naira inside that envelope carries my sweat.
Sometimes love requires sacrifice.
Then why is it always my dream that has to be sacrificed? One day, you'll understand what you've taken from me.
You think you're too good for this family now, don't you? Ever since you started talking about school, you've forgotten where you come from.
Mama, please, I haven't forgotten. I just want to learn.
Learn what? To look down on us? I've never forgotten where I come from, Mama.
I'm only trying to build a better future.
A better future? And who will take care of this family while you're busy chasing impossible dreams?
I've been helping this family every single day. I've worked harder than anyone ever asked me to.
Working hard doesn't give you the right to question me. As long as you live under my roof, you'll do as I say.
I'm not questioning you, Mama. I'm asking you to believe in me.
Some wounds are deeper than words.
I respect you, Mama. But I won't stop believing in the future God placed in my heart.
By this time tomorrow, that money will belong to someone else.
Lord, protect what I've worked for. Let this sacrifice open the door to my future.
Before we begin today's story, take a moment to subscribe to African Folktale by Zoya and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our inspiring African stories. And tell us in the comments, have you ever worked hard for a dream while the people closest to you doubted you? Now get comfortable, because today's story is about betrayal, resilience, and a young woman who refused to let anyone decide her worth. Let's begin. The Okafor compound sat at the edge of Umuahia Market, 2 rooms and a zinc roof that rattled every rainy season like it was complaining about its own age. Amara was 19, the daughter of Chief Okafor's first wife, who had died when Amara was 11. Patience, the second wife, had raised her since, if raised was the word for it. Patience never beat her. She did something quieter and worse. She made sure Amara understood every single day that she was a guest in her own father's house. Amara woke at 4:30 every morning. Her hands knew the routine before her mind did. Feel for the matches in the dark, blow the firewood into life, set the iron grill over the flame. By 5, smoke stung her eyes and her palms were already cracked from turning hot corn cobs barehanded, because the one pair of tongs they owned had gone missing months ago and nobody replaced it. She sold roasted corn and groundnuts at the junction near the motor park until 7, then walked 40 minutes to Federal Polytechnic for her pharmacy technology classes, then back to the junction until dusk to sell whatever was left. Don't waste cents on that nonsense, Patience told her once, loud enough for the old compound to hear. Pharmacy school, as if a girl needs a certificate to find a husband. Her father, Chief Okafor, said nothing when Patience spoke this way. He had a habit of leaving the room exactly when Amara needed him to stay in it. Patience's biological daughter, 16-year-old Ngozi, had absorbed her mother's worldview the way a sponge absorbs water, without resistance, without question. Big sister, why are you stressing yourself with all this studying? Ngozi would say, scrolling on the phone Patience had bought her. Beauty is currency. Brains just make men nervous. Amara kept a small tin box, an old milk tin with a rusted lid, hidden inside a hole in the wall behind her wooden bed frame, covered by a calendar nobody bothered to look behind. Every naira from corn sales that wasn't spent on food or transport went into that tin. 2 years of 4 a.m. mornings had filled it to 11,000 naira short of her final term tuition. She told no one, not even her best friend at school knew the tin existed. What Amara did not know was that 3 nights before that envelope disappeared, Patience had stood outside her door in the dark, listening to the soft clink of coins falling into metal, and had not moved for a long time. It started small. Amara would set her school books on the table to study after closing the corn stand, and somehow, by morning, a page would be torn, or a textbook would be missing entirely, only to reappear 3 days later under Ngozi's bed, used as a phone stand. Amara said nothing. She simply taped the pages back together and kept reading by candlelight. Then it grew heavier. Amara had been promised transport money from her father for a mandatory practical exam in town, 6,000 naira already counted out and placed in an envelope on the kitchen shelf. The morning of the exam, the envelope held newspaper cut to size. Amara walked 2 hours instead, arrived sweating and late, and the invigilator almost turned her away. She passed anyway. She came home and said only, "I made it," and went to check on her tin. Still there, still safe. She exhaled. It happened on a Tuesday. Amara's program coordinator had sent a text to the house phone, the only number on file, congratulating her on qualifying for early final term registration and reminding her that fees were due Friday. 85,000 naira. Patience took the call. She wrote the number down on a scrap of paper with her lips pressed into a thin, flat line, and that evening, Amara heard her muttering to herself in the kitchen, half under her breath, 85,000 for a market girl's paper, while my Ngozi sits here with nothing. It was not envy of money. It was the older, uglier fear that her own daughter, soft, unfocused, dependent on borrowed beauty, would always stand in the shadow of a girl who wasn't even hers. Friday morning, Amara reached behind the calendar, lifted the loose brick and found the tin box gone, not hidden differently, nor moved, gone. The small dust outline where it had sat for 2 years, the only proof it had ever existed at all. Her hands went cold first, then her chest. She tore the calendar fully off the wall. She checked under the bed frame, inside her one spare wrapper, inside the pillow. Places she knew, even as she searched them, made no sense, because she had never hidden it anywhere but that hole. She found Patience in the front room, calm, folding clothes. "My money," Amara said, her voice not yet broken, still hoping there was an explanation that wouldn't end the way she already feared. "The tin behind my bed. Where is it?" Patience did not look up from the clothes. "Your sister needed it." Needed it for what? That was when Ngozi walked in, wearing a new pair of sandals, a small registration slip in her hand for a modeling agency's Discovery Weekend in Owerri. A fee, a photo package, a bus ticket, all paid in full. 11,000 naira, short of Amara's tuition, spent to the last coin. "It's just corn money," Ngozi said, not even glancing at her sister's face. "You'll make more. This is my one chance." Amara's knees found the floor before her mind agreed to it. She did not cry the way people cry in films. It came out of her in a single, low sound, like something breaking that had been holding weight for a very long time. She pressed her palms, cracked, corn smoke-stained palms, against the cold cement floor, as if she could push herself back through time to the moment she had counted that money safe. Patience finally looked at her, and there was no softness in it. "Useless tin of coins," she said. "It was doing nothing in that wall anyway." Chief Okafor stood in the doorway. He had heard everything. Amara looked up at him, waiting. One word, one defense, anything. He cleared his throat instead. "Your stepmother knows what's best for this house," he said quietly, and walked back out into the yard. 2 betrayals in under a minute. The mother who took it, the father who blessed the taking with his silence. Amara stayed on that floor a long time, but something rose in her chest that the loss of that money had not touched and could not touch. A thin, stubborn thread of refusal. "I am not finished." She did not know yet what that thread would become. She only knew it was there, and it was hers, and nobody in that room had given it to her, so nobody in that room could take it back. That evening, Amara found her voice again. "Why me?" she asked Patience directly. "Why always take from me to give to her?" Patience's answer was not a denial. It was worse. It was honest. "Because you make her look like nothing," she said. "Every time you pass an exam, every time your name is read out for an award, my daughter shrinks. I will not watch that happen for 4 more years while you finish your fine certificate." Chief Okafor, called in to settle it, gave his verdict instead of justice. "A girl's real certificate is a good marriage," he told Amara, not unkindly, but final. "You have wasted enough years on books. Help your sister now. Your turn will come." Amara sat with that sentence until it stopped ringing in her ears, and in the quiet after, something clarified for her. Not bitterness, but understanding. "They are not stronger than me. They are afraid of what I might become if nobody stops me." That single realization did something cruelty alone never could have done. It let her keep her heart soft while she made her next move hard. The next morning, she did not collapse her corn stand in grief. She went to it as usual, and on the way, she stopped at the small provision store at the junction and asked the owner, Mama Eze, if she could leave her daily earnings there each evening in a locked drawer instead of carrying them home. Of course, my daughter, Mama Eze said, and did not ask why. Mama Eze had been watching Amara for 3 years without either of them ever naming it. She remembered the Harmattan morning Amara gave a stranger's hungry child a roasted cob for free and quietly absorbed the loss herself. She remembered the day Amara helped an elderly woman read her drug prescription label aloud because the pharmacy line was too long and the woman couldn't see the small print. 2 days after the envelope was emptied, Mama Eze pulled Amara aside. I have watched you long enough to know your character is not for sale, she said. Keep your money with me from now on, and take this. She pressed a folded 5,000 naira note into Amara's palm. Not charity, she insisted, but an investment. Pay me back when you're a big pharmacist. Word moved through the market, the way it always does, quietly, between women who had also buried husbands in difference and watched daughters disrespected and said nothing for years because nobody had asked them to speak. One trader gave rice, another gave a worn but working pair of tongs so your hands will heal. A third, a tailor, offered to mend Amara's only good blouse for the practical exams ahead, refusing payment. Amara cried again that week, but it was a different kind of water this time. The same eyes, the same face, an entirely different reason. Grief had broken her on the cement floor of her father's house. Gratitude rebuilt her standing in the open market, surrounded by women who owed her nothing and gave anyway. Amara could not replace 85,000 naira overnight, so she changed her method instead of waiting for luck. She began studying her pharmacy coursework from memory while the corn roasted, reciting drug classifications and dosage calculations under her breath between customers until regulars at the junction started testing her for fun. Sister Amara, what is paracetamol good for again? And she answered every time correctly with a small proud smile that the firewood smoke could not hide. Patience tried one more time to break her. She told 2 other market women that Amara had been stealing from the family for years, and the tin money was stolen housekeeping funds, hoping to shame her out of the market entirely. It backfired within a day. Mama Eze and 3 other traders who had watched Amara's habits for years laughed the rumor out loud in the open market, in front of the very women Patience had told. That child has never taken 1 extra coin from anybody, Mama Eze said. Tell your story somewhere. People don't know her. Patience never raised the accusation again. Then, on an ordinary Wednesday, a sick elderly man stumbled into the market, clutching a prescription he could not read, breathing hard. The nearest pharmacy queue was 40 minutes long. Amara, without thinking, walked him through his own dosage instructions from memory, calmed him, and sent her customer's son running to fetch his proper medication while she kept the old man steady and talking. The pharmacy owner, Mr. Aniagolo, arrived moments later and watched the entire exchange. Where did you learn to do that? He asked her afterward. I am 1 term from finishing my pharmacy technology diploma, sir, Amara said, if God allows it. He studied her for a long moment. I need a counter assistant who can actually think. Come see me Monday. Then he named a figure, a weekly wage that, across the coming months, would not only cover her remaining fees, but exceed them with a clear path to a paid apprenticeship inside his pharmacy once she qualified. The deadline was sharp and real. Registration closed in 18 days, and she needed the full 85,000 naira by then, or lose her place in the final term entirely. Amara made the deadline with 2 days to spare. She walked into the Polytechnic registrar's office and counted out the full amount herself. Corn money, Mama Eze's loan repaid in full, and then some, market gift, and 3 weeks of wages from Mr. Aniagolu's pharmacy, and watched her name move from the at-risk list to the registered list in the coordinator's ledger. That money did exactly what the envelope had always been meant to do. It paid for the very certificate Patience had called worthless. She went home that evening changed, not loud, not triumphant, just steady. Patience, seeing the new tongs in her hand and hearing about the pharmacy job from a neighbor before Amara even said a word, sneered, so the market girl thinks she's somebody now. Amara did not raise her voice. I have always been somebody, she said simply. I'm only now being seen as one. Then she went inside to study. 3 months later, Mr. Aniagolu, watching her handle a complicated insulin dosage question for an elderly diabetic customer with more precision than 2 of his licensed staff, offered her something bigger than the counter job, a fully sponsored placement to complete a registered pharmacy technician licensing exam, paid for by the pharmacy itself, with a guaranteed position waiting on the other side. It existed only because of all the 4 a.m. mornings, the memorized dosages, and the quiet discipline had made her. Luck had given her nothing. Her own hands had built the door that opened. A year passed. Amara, now a licensed pharmacy technician, earning a steady wage and renting her own small room near the market, had quietly been sending support home, not to patients, but to her father, for food, for light bills, for the small dignities a household needs. When Patience's cruelty toward her finally caught up with itself, and Amara stopped sending anything at all for 2 months to focus on her own exams, the cracks showed fast. Chief Okafor's small trading stall had failed without the quiet extra income. Ngosi's modeling discovery weekend had led nowhere, as these things often do, and she had no trade, no certificate, and no plan. One Saturday afternoon, Amara was behind the counter at Aniagolu Pharmacy. Clean coat, name badge, customers calling her sister pharmacist with respect she'd never once been given at home. When the bell above the door rang and Patience walked in, Ngozi trailing behind her, both thinner than Amara remembered, both clearly there because there was nowhere else left to go. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Patience's eyes moved over the shelves, the badge, her stepdaughter's calm, capable hands sorting medication boxes, and something in her face folded inward. "We need help," Patience finally said, her voice smaller than Amara had ever heard it. "Your father is sick. We have nothing for his medicine." Amara did not gloat. She did not remind them of the cement floor, or the torn pages, or the envelope of newspaper cut to the size of money. She simply reached for the prescription pad, filled the order herself, and packaged her father's medication without charge. But she set the box down on the counter before sliding it across. "I will help my father," she said, steady and clear. "I will always help him, but I will not come back to that house, and I will not be spoken to the way I was spoken to for 19 years. If you want my help going forward, it comes with respect. That is not negotiable." Patience's hands trembled around the small paper bag. "I was afraid," she admitted quietly, the closest thing to honesty she had ever offered. "Afraid my daughter would never be enough standing next to you, so I tried to make you small instead of helping her grow." It was not a full apology, but it was true, and it was specific, and for the first time, Amara believed her. She thought of the girl who once knelt on a cold cement floor with empty hands and a tin-shaped hole in the wall, and looked at the woman now standing behind the pharmacy counter with a license, a wage, and a roomful of regulars who trusted her judgment with their lives' medicine. The distance between those two girls was not luck. It was 4 a.m. mornings nobody saw, and a refusal nobody could put out. "This money will do better in Ngozi's hands than in yours," Patience had once said. Standing in the pharmacy she had built from cracked palms and stolen coins, Amara finally understood the truth underneath that lie. Some money does its best work exactly where it was always meant to go. And nobody, not even the people who are supposed to protect you, gets to decide that you are not enough.
Thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe to African Folktale by Zoya. Turn on the notification so when I post more interesting stories, you will be the first to get them. I really appreciate you. I do not take your support for granted. Bye for now.